Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Terminator 2 Judgment Day figure unboxing and review. Today I am so freaking excited. We're taking a look at potentially the replacement for DX13, DX46 T-800 Battle Damaged 2.0. Now I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button so you're notified as soon as brand new Terminator content goes live. Look, I'll admit it, I've been critical of recent DX releases, saying that they haven't been DX enough because I feel that's the case. No secondary head sculpts, no secondary outfit options, no diorama bases, no premium packaging. This has all of that. So this is shaping up to be a proper DX, a return to form from them. As for the box art, first of all, the feel, thick sturdy cardboard, loving the metallic printing, both for Arnie as well as the logos and text. And yes, that is an image of the figure itself. This video is brought to you by JustinsCollection.shop, the home of the figure first aid kit, as well as other accessories to help your collection be the best it can be. The first aid kit contains multiple tools to help you with maintenance, styling rooted hair, and much more. We also sell crotch grabbers, soft rubber tips to prevent damage, and they're compatible with most modern Hot Toys base molds. Acrylic risers come in multi-packs. They're optically clear, thick and sturdy, and stackable. Check out the link to JustinsCollection.shop in the description. Which I love to see because it shows that they're proud of their work. They're popping it right on the front of the box. It's the very first thing that you see when you open the shipper, rather than an image of Arnie in costume. More metallic printing around the back, including for the warnings and legal information. There is one warning of note down the bottom here. He still takes button cell batteries. They're still relying on those stupid little batteries specifically for his eye light up. I get it. It would have been very challenging to engineer some kind of USB-C light up or power transfer from the base into the figure, but I don't think they're going to make a 3.0 battle damage Terminator, so now, in my opinion, would have been the time to invest a little bit extra to get that done. Some more figure photography on the foam-backed thick cardboard slipcover. Love to see it. I do still have the DX13. We will, of course, be doing comparisons throughout the course of the video, so stay tuned for that. There's a cardboard insert with a cutout for the Terminator. There's more accessories underneath this layer. And it mentions that his outfit is made of genuine leather. And immediately, just opening the box, I can smell it. This thing reeks of high-quality, real leather. You'll let me know in my T-1000 video that this symbol is the Terminator targeting system. It appears twice on the box, both on the side and on that cardboard insert. First in-hand impressions for Battle Damage T-800 2.0. He is extremely heavy, and I am loving the feel of this outfit. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. You see, this is what DX should be. Multiple genuine leather jackets, multiple killer head sculpts, plenty of weaponry, switch out arm options, including 2 seamless medical silicone ones. They went above and beyond, they really didn't have to. And a diorama display base with a backdrop, die-cast elements, and an LED light-up effect. They clearly are showing a lot of love to Terminator. It's a complementary base to the T-1000. It's not exactly the same, if that makes sense. The footprint is, but all of the additional components, they're bespoke and specific to DX46. Around the front, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, T-800 Battle Damage version, nice and shiny, dig the printing. Then there's a gloss effect to the molten metal print underneath the top layer that adds some 3-dimensionality to the top of the display base. It's smooth, not textured, but it looks like it could be because of the speckly. It comes across rusty and metallic and dirty and grimy, perfect for a steel mill. The rails, they're removable, but there'd be peg ports if you take them out, so I'm going to leave them in. They're sculpted with the metal texture, and there's some weathering on the caution tape. This section also removable. Both of these knobs can move forward and back. It too has that sculpted metal texture to it. Then the backdrop piece, entirely sculpted plastic, no cardboard, no foam, no clamshell plastic. Then we've got die cast for the grate section and real metal chains. They've even fully sculpted, painted, and detailed it around the back as well. USB-C port. No included USB-C cable or power supply, unfortunately. It is BYO, but you can plug in a power bank and that should do the trick. Plugging it in, flicking the switch. Somehow, I need to figure out how to get both the T-1000 and T-800 bases plugged in, lit up permanently in the collection, because they cast this beautiful orange glow onto the figures from below. Screw it, let's just leave the base on, and with the way that molten metal has been printed, it looks like there's movement to it with the darker and lighter sections. Now we get two different real leather jackets, one with the torn off sleeve and the other with both sleeves intact. Die-cast hardware and buttons and buckles and whatnot, little strings that hang off it, and they've stitched the belt in place on both sides, so it looks like it's hanging down naturally. They've faked it, rather than it just flaring out and looking stupid. We'll try both of these jackets on him a little bit later, but for now, all you need to know is we get two of them, and they are heavily weathered. Alright, so the arms. Medical silicon. Why? Nobody's going to display him without the jackets, but you can. And now you've got seamless arms. They're soft and squishy, they feel durable. There's likely a metal endoskeleton. Yep, you can see the die cast right there. And there's heaps of skin texture, musculature, and vein work. These arms, maybe in the future they could reuse them for something else, but getting medical silicon Arnie arms in 1/6 scale, no complaints from me. And like I said, there's two of them. Then the switch out option, it's sculpted plastic. There's more skin texture to it. The vein work looks crisper, but there's no articulation. There's no bend at the elbow. There's no swivel at the bicep. Only the joint at the shoulder, so you will be able to do less with this. Then again, the rest of the arm is missing anyway. The blood looks wet and glossy. There's a decent shine to the endoskeleton bits, and they're softer plastic, so once you've plugged this in, even if you grab onto it when you're moving the arm around, you shouldn't do any damage. Right you are, let's talk about Arnie's head sculpts because we get two of them. One that's more battle damaged, one that's less so, but check out the shine on that endoskeleton skull. It's something that doesn't come across well in pictures. It looks flat. I am telling you, it is anything but. It is so chromy. That is exactly what I was hoping for. And a big upgrade versus DX13. We get a similar set of sculpts, but they are not the same as what came before. Versus the DX13 head sculpt, completely different. I like them both. In terms of likeness, I have to admit the DX13 looks a little bit stronger, but detail-wise, and the fact that they've ditched that back door thing to move the eyes around, I give the win there to the DX46, so it literally is just down to personal preference. Paint applications, though, they are nicer on the new sculpt. Same thing with the more battle-damaged head sculpt, better paint, better skin texture, the likeness is coming through for me more with the DX13 head. I wish that wasn't the case, that the 46 head sculpts were 100% perfect, but if you've got DX13 and you don't see a reason to upgrade, I totally understand. For me, everything else made this upgrade worth it, but if it doesn't for you, yeah, I get it. So, interestingly enough, they've made some improvements to the bandolier and the grenades. So, the silver stripe in the middle is still there, but now they're a lot shinier than they were before, and the sculpt work is crisper. The buckles, they're still die-cast on the main body of the bandolier, but the strap down the middle, holding the grenades in place, is no longer pleather. Instead, it's the same fabric as the rest of the darn thing, which is exactly how it should have been from the very beginning. There's bullet holes in it, chunks taken out of it. I prefer the new bandolier versus what came before. How about the weapons? The pistol, working hammer, you can bring that back. The slide is not spring-loaded, it stays in place, great for a reloading pose. And you can see the sculpted and painted bullet detail from the magazine through the bullet ejection port up top. It's suitably shiny and metallic for the silver sections, and we've got some pops of gold on the grips. Same sculpt as before, but the paint applications, they look a little bit better to me with the 46 version. The same thing cannot be said for the grenade launcher. Yes, it's got the chewed up stock at the end, and you can open it up. You need to move this off to the side, then you can bring it down, pop a grenade inside of it, bring the sights up. You've got a real fabric sling at the bottom. It's too shiny, and there's nowhere near enough weathering. This is the DX10 version, hence why it's not damaged at the end. But you can see the silver chipping and the matte finish, the wood grain. It looks better with the older version versus this newer one, in my opinion. You watch, now that I've said that, someone's going to point to reference that shows it's meant to be shiny and the new one is more accurate. If that is the case, then I'm genuinely happy that the new one made those changes. The M4 has some weathering to it, super subtle, but multiple moving parts and pieces. The stock can be brought back, magazine can come out, sculpted and painted bullet detail, then the bullet ejection port can open up, but that's it for moving stuff. The fire selection switch is fixed in place. There's some printing on this side for the logo at the front, and the detail work around the fire selection switch. Have we ever gotten this one before? I don't think so. I think this is a brand new sculpt, a brand new weapon for the Terminator line. This did not come with DX13. It's a larger grenade launcher, there's textured grips front and back, and you can rotate the middle section. I don't think this is new. It's likely reused from DX13. Flat edge, top and bottom. Then there's the slightest amount of weathering to it. Do I wish this was die-cast? Yes, but unfortunately, it's just sculpted plastic. When it comes to hands, the same array as DX13. In fact, I believe these are all reuse. The paint applications are a lot nicer this time though. Matte finish for the gloves, contrasting against the glossy finish for the exposed flesh, and the blood surrounding the torn up sections of the gloves. There's even some shiny silver endoskeleton bits poking through. I'm likely going to display him with the thumbs up hand because how could you not? Relaxed open palm ones, this is a DX13 hand. Like I said, same sculpt, the battle damage is in exactly the same places as the original, but the flesh looks darker and dingier with DX13, and the blood nowhere near as glossy. Then we've got trigger finger ones, super pliable, no issues whatsoever prying these open to pop weapons in there or changing them out, very easy. 2 closed fists, and then 1 gripping hand meant to be paired up with that rod. It doesn't open, you're just supposed to slide it through the top of the hand, and it's a tight grip, it will hold it in place. The cinching at the bottom, the wrinkling, the leather grain texture, the bulkiness of the fingers, these are convincing sculpts. They were solid back in the day, and they are still solid today. What we're going to do now is get T-800 himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. I've just moved his eyes off to one side to make him look more visually interesting, but simply standing there. This thing is a masterpiece. I reckon a lot of people were hoping I would see this and say, oh no, DX13 is the way to go, no question. I'm not sure that's true. We'll dive in a lot deeper off the turntable, but proportions are solid. The outfit hugs the body perfectly. The detail with the exposed endoskeleton, all the battle damage is flawless. And the head sculpt, even from a distance, looks a lot better to me than what I was expecting versus the blogger pictures. Not trying to discredit the bloggers at all, they do amazing work. Sometimes figures just don't photograph well, and I'm thinking this might have been one of those cases. Look, it might not be perfect. but it's a pretty bloody good head sculpt, up close and personal, kicking things off with T-800's first head sculpt, the first of two. The other one is a lot more battle damage than this. So the sculptor behind this head is called Yixi. I'll pop a link to their Insta in the description. Incredibly talented artist. The sculpt started off as a clean one, then I think Hot Toys added all the battle damage to it. Likeness to Arnie is there from every angle. Like, you can tell exactly who this is supposed to be. There is no denying that is a young Arnie. However, versus DX13, the expression, the squinted look for the eyes, the intense furrowed brow, I reckon the likeness, like I said in the accessory segment, is still stronger with the DX13 sculpt. But the hair, the skin texture, the really fine wrinkling, the 5 o'clock shadow, the fact that there's no door around the back to access the moving eyes, this head sculpt, technically speaking, is superior. It's just the likeness that lets this down ever so slightly. If you do not have DX13, and you're not doing a 1v1 comparison, I highly doubt you are going to be disappointed with this head sculpt. The endoskeleton bits, they're a standout for me. That shiny chrome finish and the blood, it looks suitably wet and glossy and real. Like, even around the back, yes, the seam is a thing, but ignoring that, the straight cut across for the hair on DX13 versus this jagged edge on 46, that looks better to me. The skin tone and skin texture match between the head sculpt and the neck, it's close, but the pores look a lot larger on the neck versus the head sculpt. It could be because this is a reused body from DX13, but I'm not sure on that. But it's the hairline, the feathered edge to it, and how spiky the hair is, then the vein work. The more you look at this head sculpt up close in person, the more detail you're going to notice. The wrinkling, the line work on his lips, that's a standout. Now, there's a seam underneath his right ear on the neck, but the bullet holes, they do a decent enough job of drawing your eyes away, drawing attention away from that seam line, so it's not going to be super noticeable. To move his eyes around, you need to take off the entire head sculpt. Then there's plenty of access inside of it. You don't need to use the tool if you don't want to, but they do chuck one in the box anyway. This head sculpt with some side eye, let's pop it on the body and discuss. Oh, hell yes, head tilt forward. I thought initially that I would have to go with the fully battle damage sculpt with the endo eye out. Now that I'm seeing this, I'm tempted to display him with this head sculpt on. You'll have to let me know after we try out the other head sculpt which is your favorite down in the comments. Yeah, that's still good, but now we don't really get to see all the battle damage, so if I'm displaying T-800 with some side eye, he'll be looking to his right, not his left. Back to looking straightforward now, it's fine, but I prefer him looking up through his furrowed brow because he comes across more serious. Like this, he looks maybe sad or something. In my display, looking up through his furrowed brow or off to his right. Let's move on to the other head sculpt. Okay, now I'm really torn because this head sculpt is beastly. The depth for the eye socket, the light up red eye, we've still got a moving eye on the other side, the very fine scratching, the piston right there, the gross flesh. There is a lot more detail to look at on this head sculpt versus the other one. That is more Arnie, this is more Terminator / endoskeleton, if that makes sense. I've been displaying DX13 with the half endo head sculpt on for the longest time, and I thought that I'd try something new with 46. Now I'm starting to rethink that. Please help me out. Which is the best look for him? Tell me in the comments. On the chunk taken out around the back, which was present on DX13, is still present here. It looks less bloody. I'm not sure why. DX13 actually looks better to me than what's going on with 46. There's no seam around the top, so 46 gets the win there, but more blood would have been nice. Hot Toys. Removing this head sculpt to move the eye around, it's not as easy to do as the other sculpt because there's limited access inside of it, but the eye off to one side with this sculpt, popping it back on the body, I think side eye works best with both head sculpts. Y'all know me, I'm a huge fan of side-eye. Back to the standard head sculpt now. It's almost a shame that this isn't being as well received as Hot Toys I suppose we're hoping, because DX13, it truly is a grail. It is one of their best head sculpts of all time, so trying to replace it with a 2.0, it was a bold move. Some people will feel they pull it off, and others, not so much. Moving on from the head sculpt, let's talk about the body and the outfit. The body feels really hefty, bigger, potentially even versus last time, but some of the details match. This is based off the same version of Terminator, so that would make sense, but that leads me to believe that there may be some shared parts between DX13 and this, although I could be wrong on that. The outfit. Genuine leather jacket, pants, and belt, which is something that I thought was going to be made out of pleather until I read the instructions, and it says, no, this is also real leather. You can see the grain. You can feel how soft and supple all of this is, and it's very thin, lightweight real leather as well. This doesn't come across as though it's a big, bulky, overscaled outfit. It fits him perfectly. The faux zipper tracks, the faux zippers, the belt that's been stitched in place so it hangs naturally down the front, the real metal buckles. The outfit alone, big improvement over DX13. Then we've got the weathering, the bullet holes, the blood that's coming through those bullet holes, and you can see the seamless medical silicone arms through some of the cuts on the jacket sleeves. And right up here, there's a chunk taken out of it here as well. The dirty, gross-looking charred bits for the leather, that's paint on the surface. They've struggled in the past to weather real leather or even the fake stuff, but clearly, based off DX46, they've nailed that process. I specifically made sure not to have the bandolier on for this because I want to show you all of this, the guts and the grossness, the shiny endoskeleton chest peering out from underneath this torn apart flesh, the shirt, the little bits that are left over. It feels like real torn fabric. I don't know if they laser cut this or what, but I'd be very careful manipulating this shirt. There is more detail underneath it, skin tone and some musculature, but like I said, I don't think it's the safest thing to move around. Just leave it alone, maybe look underneath it once, and then let it sit where it wants to. I'll take off the jacket and show you the medical silicone arms in a minute. Another faux zipper for the sleeves. Switching out the hands, so easy. I was nervous it was going to be tricky because you don't want to put too much pressure on the medical silicone arms or the real leather outfit. When you're switching out hands, you don't need to. You just saw how easy it was to take that off and then pop it right back on. The sheen of the material they've gone with, coupled with the matte dirt and grime they painted over the top, the pants aren't as weathered as the jacket and shirt. You can clearly see that. But for the left leg, there's a huge tear around the front with the endoskeleton leg visible through that hole. The flesh, that is suitably glossy. Then the shine on the endoskeleton metal bits. This, if I had to guess, is likely reused from DX13. And would you look at that? There's even blood splatter underneath this top part on the cylindrical section for the joint. As you bend the leg, more detail reveals itself. The boots, they look better than DX13. The leather grain texture and the color of them, they were blue tinted. For some unknown reason, it was this grey dry brush that Hot Toys used on the DX13 boots, not present here. They're a matte black with some dirt and grime speckled on the toe. Stitching sculpted in, there is some tread on the underside as well as a brown wash. They've even weathered the underside of the boots. Okay, let's stitch the jacket and check out the medical silicone arms on the body. Not that I'd ever display him like that, but I mean, we have to look at them, right? No, he's not meant to be displayed like this. The arms, the detail is immaculate with the skin texture and vein work. We've discussed them in the accessory segment. They look too small now, out of context without the jacket. The jacket adds some bulk to the arms and the shoulders, gives him traps, makes his neck look in proportion with the rest of the body. They're only included because you can see them through the holes in the jacket, not so that you can display him like this. The gloves do a decent enough job of covering up the wrist pegs at certain angles, so they don't look super ugly if you've got him just with the t-shirt on. Never going to be my go-to display option. But dude, this look, this head sculpt, this jacket, the bandolier adding the gold around the front for some contrast, the single sleeve, it's been torn off, you can see some skin tone poking through, and all of these linkages from the endoskeleton arm. I'm not sure on the head sculpt yet, but one thing is for sure, I will be displaying him with this jacket on. It's got so much more weathering on it, and the ripped off arm with the endoskeleton bit sticking out. You can see all of this stuff, that dry brushing effect. This sleeve also got some holes in it, still the medical silicone arm underneath. That is why I believe they did it, so that there's no visible joints through those holes, although they are so small, I highly doubt that would have been an issue anyway. So, good news, if you've got DX13 and you prefer the new Arnie head sculpts, they are compatible with the old body. The reverse isn't true, you can't use 13 head sculpts with the new body, we'll discuss that in the pros and cons segment, but this head sculpt is height adjustable, so you can move it up and down on the neck connector to get the height just right to a point where you're happy with it. I was considering selling DX13 now that I've got 46, although with this being an option, maybe I'll keep it, just pop the new head sculpt on the DX13 body. Right, back to stock now. We'll move on to comparisons in a second. One more thing I wanted to mention. The lapels, the collar on both jackets, they're stitched down and in place, so they're not going to fly away, but if you wanted to maybe pop the collar, you'd have to cut the stitching, then you can make that happen. For a quick side-by-side comparison, the moment of truth, the moment we've all been waiting for, is DX46, the figure on the left, a worthy successor to the grail that is DX13 on the right? I think it is. Ignoring the head sculpts, I know that's hard to do because the head sculpt is the soul of a figure, but just taking them off the table for the moment, from the neck down, the proportions look better with 46, thanks to the thinner material for the outfit, genuine leather outfit, genuine leather belt. We get updated accessories, updated paint apps, and the endoskeleton bits, they look properly shiny. Medical silicone arms, diorama display base with a light up. You can see where I'm going with this. There's too many pros to 46, in my opinion, to not crown it as the definitive battle damage T-800 in 1/6 scale. If all you care about is likeness with the head sculpts, then maybe DX13 is the safer bet for you, or if you already have DX13, you can stick with that one. But if you want the best overall package, including the head sculpts, I believe that's DX46. Oh, now that is beautiful. Two 2.0s standing together, battle damage T-800 and 2.0 T-1000. These figures, I'm so glad Hot Toys made them. I didn't think we would ever get 2.0s of any Terminator figures, but here we are, and just look at them standing together. Ah, Hot Toys, I wish you'd give us a John Connor. This one is by a company called CGL, I think. I got it so long ago from AliExpress, and yeah, he's been my John Connor ever since, but we really need an official version. Hot Toys, make it happen. Ooh, they've come a long way with their genuine leather outfits. DX10 on the right, clean T-800, also from T2. His outfit is genuine leather as well. It's a lot thicker and bulkier. It doesn't flatter him. It looks oversized compared to the outfit with the battle damage DX46 on the left. I am now counting down the days until the clean T-800 2.0 comes out, because if the figure on the left gives us any indication of what that one's going to look like, it should be a big step up versus DX10. Going over articulation, starting off with Arnie's head sculpt. There's a fixed rubbery neck that's part of the body. It's slightly rubbery, so we will get some range out of it. Double ball peg inside of it, looking forward to there, plenty for me. Looking up to there, once again, plenty. swivel, and tons of pivot side to side. Medical silicon arms completely flushed down by his sides, even though they're big and bulky, going up to there, unhindered by the genuine leather jacket. Actually, they'll go up even further, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. There's a swivel at the bicep, but to access it, I would suggest bending the elbow first, then you can use that as a point to rotate the bicep swivel. Double bend at the elbow on ratchets, going past 90, but it does spring back down when you get to the max bend because of the size of the bicep. For the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. His torso is fully sculpted, painted, and detailed, so no cut at the midsection, but there's a ball joint at the waist, just like last time. Crunching forward is restricted to there, and it springs back. Going back to there, further than forward at least. Swivel, and some pivot side to side, but not much. Different setup depending on the leg you're going with. Double bend and single bend, but at the hips on ratchets going forward to there. I don't want to push the leather trousers, especially the side with the hole cut out of it. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Single bend going to 90 on one side, but like I said, double bend on the other, going past 90. Then for the ankles, the boots, they end all the way up here. You could see them through the trousers. I thought they'd be cut lower for more range because you wouldn't be able to tell anyway, given the length of the trousers. That's not what happened. Double ball peg inside of them, good for forward and back. Swivel, and a touch of ankle tilt. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing, I was praying this was going to work. For those of you out there who love everything about this new piece except the head sculpt, I thought that you'd be able to take a DX13 sculpt and use it with this body. It pops on the neck connector, but it sits way too high on the neck. Without some serious modding, this simply isn't going to be possible, and that is kind of unfortunate given how many people genuinely love the DX13 head sculpts. The second annoying thing is, why are the boots so high? You could argue that they've done that to keep the shape of the trousers. I don't think that is the case. They didn't need to end here. They could have been cut so much lower. All made out of PVC plastic for more range of motion, because his ankles, they are very restricted. The third annoying thing isn't an annoying thing for me. It's not going to be for a lot of y'all, but it will for some. Medical silicon arms. I see them as a pro, you might see them as a con, because while they look good through the cuts and holes in the jacket, that's now. If you leave his arms bent for a long period of time and the silicon arms crack, then they will not look so good. If only they'd have included a set of jointed arms as well as the seamless ones, then everyone would have been happy. The first cool thing, you likely already guessed it, the full leather outfit. Not just the jacket and trousers, also the belt. The instructions specifically mention that the belt is genuine leather. That means all of this stuff should last a hell of a lot longer than what we were getting with the fake stuff with DX13. The belt on mine is already going. The second cool thing, the steel mill display base. It's got a light up effect. It still looks good without it turned on. Diorama elements. The back one has some die cast pieces on it. Yes, it's a large footprint base, but I don't think it's going to be tricky to work with because it's got flat sides, relatively flat front and back. This, now, one of my new favorite Hot Toys diorama bases. The third cool thing, I barely see anyone talking about this when DX46 versus 13 is brought up in conversation. The chrome finish, the exposed endoskeleton pieces versus the dull shine on the old one, the new chrome they've gone with is so much nicer. Wrapping up on my new favorite battle damage T-800. Yes, we don't have many of them, and DX13 is incredible. To this day, it is one of Hot Toys' best releases of all time. I think this is better. The head sculpts, detail-wise, we've got independent moving eyes. We've still got the light up with the half endo head sculpt. Very little to complain about. Yes, the K.A. Kim DX13 sculpts are impeccable, but they're nowhere near as detailed as these new ones. If you genuinely prefer the DX13 sculpts, stick with that piece. Although, the outfit on this one, being made of genuine leather, might just be a reason to upgrade alone because it is going to last a hell of a lot longer than the Pleatheron DX13. That one's already been out for quite a long time and people are experiencing flaking. You could argue that he's battle damaged anyway, that doesn't matter. I see a difference personally between intentional battle damage and deterioration, but that also comes down to personal preference, how you see it versus how I do. This DX46 brings so much new to the table. With the light-up diorama base, the medical silicon arms, the real leather outfit, still 2 head sculpts, but the improved paint apps, I think it's worth getting. It's gotta be worth the upgrade for most of us, surely, because it takes everything DX13 did well and ups the ante, just brings it up to that next level. So at the end of this, DX13 is being retired from my collection. DX46 is going to be my new and only battle damage T-800. That is how much I love this piece. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. You're heading down to the description. Why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.